You're watching The Roach on Florida TV.
I understand that the Russian mafia is very intertwined to the slave trade. Am I wrong on this?
You are unfortunately correct. And these guys are professional criminals. They know all the techniques, and you do not want to mess with them. They used to just operate in Russia and Eastern Europe, but they noticed a vacuum, and so now their tentacles are absolutely everywhere. The principal place in the Western Hemisphere that they operate is Aruba. Aruba has three major industries.
Wait. The Aruba, where I've gone on vacation.
Yes. They have three major industries. Number one, drugs. Number two, human trafficking. And number three, tourism.
Okay, so then how is Aruba connected? How do they use Aruba in that way?
It's a staging center. That's where they take potential victims, and it's just their headquarters for the Western Hemisphere. You might remember a case a few years ago, a student from Alabama who disappeared in Aruba.
We're not talking Natalee Holloway.
Yes. And she fit the profile precisely, blonde, blue-eyed, cute. And the guy that they had originally questioned regarding her quote, murder, but they never found her body, he told Greta Van Susteren that he had sold her to an Arab who worked in the oil industry in Venezuela right next door. Makes perfect sense because nobody ever found her body. She fit the profile to a T, and this guy was a professional lowlife. Anyway, he's doing time in Peru right now because he got in trouble there for some other nonsense.
That's not the Vandersloot guy, is it?
Vandersmoot, yes.
Yeah, because he grabbed another girl, brought her up to a hotel, if I remember the story right. I might not have it right, but I remember there was video of him bringing a girl up, and then she never left the hotel.
Right. He was a lowlife, for
right.
Sure. Yeah.
So wait, now, do you think he was conspiring to get her into the slave trade then?
Maybe. Probably.
He could make some money.
He could make some money, yeah. But you really need to be careful because these, first of all, the mafia, they're not known as being very tender-hearted. And they are professional criminals. They know every technique in the book, and they've invented a whole bunch themselves. Yes. Aruba
is a main point for this. That's unbelievable. Great for the tourism department there, right?
Yeah. Well, I had a
real selling point.
Yeah.
Come to Aruba and give up your child.
Right. I had a friend who went to Aruba for vacation, and when he came back, the immigration guys at the airport grilled him, and he didn't understand why until I explained, they want to know every place he went, I think they thought he was dealing drugs, but which is the number one industry. And by the way, human trafficking, after illicit drugs, is the biggest criminal enterprise in the world. It's a multi-billion-dollar international industry. After illicit drugs, it's number two.
See, go back to that Natalee Holloway for a sec. I forgot the story, too. They never found the body, right?
No, this was in, I think, 2006.
And he never said what he did.
Well, he told 25 different
stories, so they don't.
Right.
Is there a possibility she just could have been sold off somewhere and still alive?
Well, he said that he had sold her to an Arab who worked in the oil industry in Venezuela right next door.
That was one of his stories.
That was one of his stories, and it's the only one that ever made any sense.
And they obviously went and checked with that person, and who knows?
What are you going to do? I mean, Arabs keep their wives secluded.
Right.
And you can't go into a harem and start ripping off veils.
You can't just bust into the house now in an Arab home and kick down the door and say, where is she?
We're going to search your harem. Right. Harem, in fact, it's the Arab word for forbidden. Harem is a forbidden place. Nobody is allowed to go there except the people who live there.
Let's talk a little bit about what these people that become human slaves somehow escape it. Somehow they get away and they try to get back to normal life. Can they return back to normal life?
They can return to some semblance of normal life. I used to work with a shelter in Baltimore that rescued girls from the street and then tried to rehabilitate them, give them a high school education, some employable skills. And it is really tough because imagine you're 13 years old and people have lied to you, deceived you, betrayed you, exploited you so many times, and at such an impressionable age that you never, ever really get over it. You learn how to cope, but you're scarred really for life. And that's what makes this crime so tragic, is that it really destroys people's lives. They steal you. They steal your dreams. They steal your future. They steal you away from your family, from everything that you've known and loved. And it's just a horrible, horrible crime.
You've been talking about this for a lot of years. I know you've written a lot of books. I know you appear on a lot of media about this. How did this journey begin for you? Okay,
well, I mentioned before my husband was from Cameroon, and when I was living there, I lived there for 14 very nice years. I had a German friend named Ursula who just disappeared. They found her bicycle next to the road, but no Ursula, and nobody has heard from her or seen her since. Several weeks later, we heard rumors that were probably true that she had been sold to a sultan in Libya. And that spooked me really bad because 50 years ago, I was a pretty cute blonde myself, and I kept thinking, holy Toledo, that could have been me. And so I started collecting stories, and over the years, I've collected hundreds and hundreds of stories, and these are what my books are based on, are these true stories. They are faction. Now, they're classified as fiction because I don't have copies of police reports and dates and all of that, but these are true stories that I collected over nearly 50 years, and so that's what my 3 books are based on. The flagship book of the Human Trafficking series is called Harem Slave. It has been translated into French, German, and Spanish. At one point, I'm very pleased to say, it reached number 7 in all fiction on Amazon. That's of more than 3 million titles. And it has also won an award. Then there's a sequel called Prince Ibrahim's Favorite. It also won an award. It's currently being translated into French. And then there's a companion volume to that called Voices from the Harem. Those are the 3. They're available on my website and through Amazon. My website, by the way, nancyhartwell.com, there's a 5-part course on modern-day human trafficking and 21st century slave trade. All we need is your email address, and it's absolutely free. We just want as many people to know about this as possible. It's, the extent of the problem, the different forms that slavery takes in the world today, what people can do to help combat it. Please, you're welcome to sign up for the course on the website. Just click on the icon and download it. Yeah.
Do you think we will ever see a day where this will become a real little problem, or is this always going to be with us?
I think it's always going to be with us. I mean, we've outlawed murder. It hasn't stopped murder. I'm afraid it will always be with us because it's just too good a way to make money. And there are always people that don't care that they're destroying other people's lives. They just want to make money.
Yeah.
No more Roach on Florida TV.